Halo Studios is now a thing. That was once Bungie, right?
It was.
Or was it
Bungie and then 343, and 343 changed into Halo Studios.
It's funny because I heard about this, and I remember some people were sitting there and they were like, "Oh, okay. What makes me excited for this happening? What does this mean for my beloved Halo?" Some people, they were like, "Cool. This is what we're gonna close this podcast with watching this." But this is the A New Dawn, Halo Studios, the new studio. This is them talking about what this change is and what it means, I guess, for the company itself and for Halo, of course. So we'll watch this and then we'll talk about our 2 cents on it, and then we'll close out this podcast.
Chris Matthews, take 1. Mark.
This is Casey Wu, take 1.
Usually
Mark.
1.5.
I was told that I can just be my authentic self, Chris.
For 6 years, I don't want to be in front of a camera.
There's so much to do and so much fun to be had when you play Halo that I feel like I never run out of things to do.
I love intricate stories that take place across lots of different worlds, have lots of different meaningful characters.
What made Halo successful at the beginning? What is the legacy of Halo and what's the soul that we want to bring forward? And what's the craft of making Halo games? And how do we set our studio at best to go deliver on that?
We knew we had to make a change in order to take us into the future.
When I first heard about Halo moving on Unreal Engine, my first thought was, this is going to be a really hard secret to keep.
I think fans are going to be excited about the future of Halo because of the possibilities that are afforded us by using Unreal.
Before, we really had to split our focus in thinking about building an engine, supporting it, being really kind of a tech company and a studio at the same time. Since we've made the change to shift to UE, we can bring Halo forward in ways that people have never seen before while still being true to what Halo is.
The Foundry project was an effort to show ourselves how far we can push things using Unreal 5.
New studio art director Chris came to me and said, "Hey, I have this crazy idea."
He said, "Hey, there's this thing called Project Foundry that I want to do. Let's make it happen."
Foundry specifically is based around the same concept of the Foundry in Halo lore. It's the place where Halo rings are born. It's not a game, it's a research project for our studio so we can prepare ourselves for the next steps of making Halo games.
The original Halo franchise was a graphic showcase. It was best in class. That's what Halo was when it first was released, and that's what Halo needs to be again.
So once Project Foundry had been approved, we took the entire creative team and we ideated on 3 locations, something old, something new, and something really alien.
We had the Pacific Northwest, which is sort of traditional Halo biome.
We were trying to shove as much foliage in there as humanly possible to make it really feel like you're on a hike in the Cascades.
The Cold Lands, which was the second biome that we took on, it was more of a technical showcase where we could play with shaders, we could play with deformable landscapes and terrains. Unreal affords us more opportunity than we've ever had in the past.
On the surface, it might just look all like snow, but how many layers of things combine to really give that winter look?
And then our third biome was the Blightlands, which is any land that's been completely taken over by the Flood.
I wanted to give our team the opportunity to really express an alien world, a really alien world, taking something way further than they may have actually done in previous Halo games.
What's impressed me about watching the Halo team work in Unreal is how beautiful everything looks, how incredible the environments look. I don't think we've seen anything quite like it in Unreal Engine before.
Fortunately, we have a studio that's really passionate about Halo, about the look and the feel, and I think there's a lot of hunger to really collaborate, to move forward together.
Foundry was an initiative that touched on every part of the creative process, everything from concept art, VFX, characters, vehicles, and weapons to make the future games of Halo.
Creating an asset, taking this design, now we can really dig into the material foundations. What is it actually made of? How is it physically accurate to the world? Now we get to take all the wonderful legacy assets that we have, bring them to life, and bring them to today's standards.
We are really excited to be not just working on multiple projects, but also expanding our studio.
As a lifelong Halo player, I think the game's only going to get better when we get those new, unique perspectives and people bring in their expertise and passion for the Halo franchise.
We are looking for new talent as the projects that we're working on kind of get further and further into their development cycles.
And it is great to be part of a team that's growing because you can kind of see that force multiplied as people come in and take on challenges and you can do more.
Imagine a place where you have the commitment that this is what we want to do, Halo games, and create those experiences. And you can express your talent, your creativity, and your professional ambitions in that place.
We're looking for designers, we're looking for artists, we're looking for engineers.
It feels like a new beginning for the studio in a lot of ways, and I think that's pretty rare.
And I think we arrived now at a point where you see the beginnings of people to start to believe in the process.
There's so much momentum that we have right now and focus and clarity on not just what we're building, but why we're building and kind of this next phase of Halo.
The worlds that we're building, the stories that we're going after.
The potential at Halo right now is huge.
Halo Infinite was the last remnants of how we made Halo games in the past. That was our recipe. And what we're doing right now, we're changing that recipe.
Okay, hopefully the hyperspeed wasn't too much for the viewers out there. What do you think about this? Halo Studios, Data.
I'm gonna be honest, I'm excited for it. I think that there's a lot of really good ways that Halo could go from here, so long as they are fully willing to learn from their mistakes. I'm gonna be honest with you. The biggest mistake they need to learn from in their most recent title, Halo Infinite, open world didn't work.
Yes.
It's not that it can't work. Having come from the entire Halo franchise, I've played every single game from right when it came out all the way through. I've played every Halo game that there is. Halo Wars, I played Spartan Strike, Spartan Assault, the phone games. I played it all. And Halo always had a really big, grand feel to the scope of it. You felt like you were traveling across massive rings, the Ark, you were visiting different parts of planets, all sorts of stuff like that. Like, it felt big until you get to Halo Infinite, and then it felt really small. And for the first time ever, I was like, "Oh, these rings are tiny. I don't like that."
I can definitely agree with you about Infinite. Me and Halo, I've played most of them, and I've gotten my hands on almost all of them, but not really like played them. The main games, I've played all of them, all the main games. When Halo Infinite came out, my biggest thing was the multiplayer.
Yeah.
I wasn't a big fan of the season pass. I mean, of course, it was, season pass was the thing. If Halo Studios wants to make this idea of redoing Halo work, you need to go back to the simple forms of multiplayer. And I know that sounds crazy for people. They're like, but wait, the money that's made with season pass and the skins and all this stuff, it's like, this could be a good way, a good opportunity for them to figure out a way to still, if they want to do season passes, to still do that, but to maybe change the game a little bit. And seeing that they're going into the Unreal Engine 5 changes a lot. And these visuals do look good. Like, they look nice.
Easily the best Halo has ever looked.
Right. Like, you're telling me that we can get a full Halo story looking like this with that type of quality. But going back to what you said about the open world, and I do agree. I feel like they put Halo in an open world with nothing to do in it. I'm better off of you just starting me from the beginning of the mission instead of me having to travel and traverse in an empty world space. Like, what are we doing?
Where I feel like an open world could have worked for Halo, and where I feel like they missed it at, is if you think back to the first Halo, we retraverse like the same few levels a couple times, because we go back and we see the Pillar of Autumn a second time. We see the Truth and Reconciliation a second time. We see the command room a second time. So like there's a few different locations that we see more than once. And where I feel like they could make an open world work is if they had, 3, maybe 4 different open world spaces, and between missions you had to like take a Pelican ride to the next open world space, and you would traverse between them, so you still get that grand feel. Maybe the 3 biomes they had, plus maybe like an island one to throw back for like the silent cartographer. If you bounce between them, so you keep the grand scale of things, but you can also still have multiple missions taking place, so that you feel like the open world feel of being able to like go to different places and do different things in the missions still like remains, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. We need a Halo in the shooting space.
Yes.
So it's like, personally, I think financially, these two companies consolidating themselves into one new studio may have been the best move they could have done for this time. As we've seen, a lot of studios have been closing. People have been losing their jobs. So it's cool to see that these two studios was like, hey, instead of us saying that one of us has to close, let's consolidate and let's combine and let's go at this again.
I think it's just the one studio, if I
Is it
read
just
everything right.
Okay?
Because Bungie's off doing their own thing with Destiny right now.
Okay.
And I think 343 is just like restructuring and reorganizing.
Okay, so it's just 343. So that's my apology. I thought it was both. But yeah, I think that Halo is a household name. Halo is like Mario. And if people don't want to agree, let me know in the comments. If you said Master Chief or Halo, I'm pretty sure they know what you're talking about. So it's like having this character come back is crucial. I do not want to see, and I repeat, I do not want to see your first thing from this studio be a remaster or a remake. Please.
I'm gonna be real with you. I think that's what's coming.
And sadly, yeah, and that's why I'm just like, man, even if it's a short game or something, because it's so obvious that they're going to make Halo, they're going to make the Halo 1, 2, ODST, Reach, like they're going to go back and put the polish on those games. Now, if you do make a Halo 1 remake, but you change everything, it's the story of Halo 1, but the gameplay, new mechanics, then that's different.
If you give me a Capcom style remake, like what they did with Resident Evil,
yes,
that's fine.
It's about time that they went to a new engine. A lot of companies are afraid to change engines, and I mean, I'm not a programmer, but I understand that it's a lot. I deal with Adobe and Photoshop, and when I try to do like other programs outside of those, it's like a whole different foreign language to me.
I'm gonna be real with you. Having dived into this, I switched to Unreal myself a while back, and the tools that Unreal has for developers is beyond anything else that I've used so far. Because they have like their blueprints feature, which makes it so that if you don't know a crazy amount about like different types of coding, they have different like chunks of code that people have pre-made that you can just kind of insert into their schedules to make stuff work. Like Unreal is the engine to beat right now. Like nobody else is doing quite what they're doing.
Before we end the episode, I want to close this topic with this question for you, Data. Which Halo game would excite you the most to see in Unreal 5?
Halo 2. Halo 2 has been my favorite Halo for the longest time. Arbiter is easily one of the best characters Halo has ever seen.
I can agree.
And like the story of seeing how he went from being the respected general to like the banished heretic and all that stuff, like the story, the environments, it would be amazing to see in Unreal. I gotta be honest though, you gotta get the same voice actors. I know you can get the guy that did the Arbiter, because he came back for Halo 5.
Mm-hmm.
But whoever did Truth in Halo 2, you didn't get the same guy for Halo 3, and I felt that.
He's like,
you gotta get the original guy back.
I felt that.